Hello everyone. Today we are making the AC Mini Convertible Crossbody by K&A Custom Fabrics. This is one of the many sew-alongs that they use to make fantastic bags, and I'm here to show you how to make the stock version. So we're going to go over all of our pieces, hardware, webbing, zipper tape, and then we'll get started. So you will have 2 strap connectors, 2 D-rings, a front panel, a back panel. You'll need zipper tape to match your 2 zipper panels and a bottom gusset. That's just for the exterior. For the lining, we have a bottom gusset, 2 zipper gusset linings, a back lining, and a front lining. Now this is a bound bag, so we'll be adding binding at the end. I don't have it cut, but I'll show you that in the video. We will also need 3 1-inch D-rings and 2 number 5 zipper pulls. All right, let's get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to do today is make our gusset for our zipper gusset for the bag. So we're going to need both lining pieces and the exterior pieces. We'll put our front and back panels to the side. Setting aside our bottom gusset, we'll need that last. We'll take our 2 zipper panels, exterior and their linings, and we're going to put a little 1/8 inch tape on here. You don't have to use tape. I like to use tape. I find it's easier for me. Or you can use clips. It's your choice. So we're just going to put the tape here. For our number 5 zipper tape, I just measured the length of this zipper panel. I have a little bit extra on there just in case. It doesn't need to be exact because you can trim off what you're not using at the end. All right. Our next zipper gusset lining. Now, when I receive my panels, you'll get a 1 roll, and it'll be a vinyl for the exterior or whatever you choose your base to be, and a waterproof canvas for the lining. K&A waterproof canvas is ironable. I just get it wet with my spray bottle, and then I iron it for 3 to 5 seconds per side, just to make sure that you get all the wrinkles out. I don't like making a wrinkly bag. So we'll put 2 of these to the side, and we'll grab our zipper tape. We'll start with the top. Let's see, it's pretty close to the size that we need. So when I'm cutting out all my pieces, I cut out the exterior pieces first, and I use all of the exterior pieces to cut out the lining pieces. This is just to ensure that all of my pieces are the same size and that they go together and that there wasn't any printing issues. Sometimes with the softer bases like canvas and waterproof canvas, cotton lining, the printing can be a little wonky. It's unavoidable. The fabric stretches when you're printing. So we want to make sure that we have accurate size. So always use your exterior to cut out your lining. So we're going to sew my zipper together. I'm going to use 4.5 inch stitch length, and I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And we're going to stitch it down, and then we're going to top stitch. Quick back stitch. Go ahead and open this up, increase it. Right. And switch my stitch length to 5 for a top stitch. I'm going to top stitch this down the side. trim our threads. We'll work on the other side. Go ahead and line these up the best you can. If you wanted to get it exact, you could snip your centers and then mark the center of your zipper tape. That's what I usually do. Don't know why I skipped it today. That's Charlie. Say hi, Charlie. Say hi. Of course she wants attention right now. Flip this over. There we go. The beauty of double-sided tape is once you put it down, you don't like it, you can take it back up and try again. I think I'm going to readjust my exterior gusset panel. Yeah, we're going to fix this one. Let's try again. One more time. All right. 1/4 inch seam allowance. Go ahead and flatten this out. All right. And we'll top stitch this one. If you wanted to interface the zipper gusset, you could. I didn't, because it's so small and I'm using vinyl. My materials don't really require me to use interfacing on this top part of the zipper panel. If you were using something softer like cotton or canvas, you could put fleece, or you could just put SF101. It's your choice. We'll see how this one looks today when we're done. All right. Now, we don't want to be part of the club, so let's go ahead and add our zipper gussets, or our zipper pulls. And then we'll trim all the extras down when we're done. All right. There's lots of ways to put on a zipper pull. You can use a zipper jig. These Amazon zipper pulls I got aren't great, so they are a little fussy when you put them on. But you can watch me struggle. All right, hold please. 800 years later, I finally got those on. All right, so we're gonna take our bottom gusset. We're gonna line it up with our exterior gusset. We're gonna center that to the best we can. I should have used a 3/8 inch seam allowance on my zipper, but my machine is not able to do that without my stitches getting all wonky and weird. So I will just trim this down when I'm done. I'll go ahead and center this. All right. So 1/4 inch seam allowance. And we'll go ahead and do that again on this side. Center it with the zipper. And then all these uneven pieces we'll just trim off when we're done. It's not a big deal. All right. I'm going to do another 1/4 inch seam allowance here. That's uneven. Hold, please. All right, so 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then we're going to go ahead and flip this. It should look like this, and we're going to top stitch on the side. I only top stitch through the exterior, not the interior of lining, only because if there's an issue with the gusset not fitting, it'll be easier for me to fix it that way. You could do whatever you prefer. Grab some clips. We'll clip our gusset together. And then we will baste all the lining pieces together so it's one solid piece. So when we're attaching our front and back panels, it'll be a lot easier to sew together. All right, let's go ahead and baste these. I'm going to go ahead and baste the zipper gusset too, and then I'll be able to trim off the excess extra piece. Let's go ahead and do this side. What the hell? And we're going to trim just right next to our stitches so that these panels are even and our bag won't be wonky. No wonky bags. We don't want wonky. There, never even happened. See? All right. So I'm just gonna, so we have our zipper panel and our bottom gusset and those lining pieces. I'm going to clip these together right here at the seam and mark my centers on these two pieces. This is for later. This is a thank yourself later moment. I'm gonna just snip and snip. You could do the triangle method. You could do the slit method. If it's not a triangle, I can't see it and I end up checking 10 times. So, all right. So there is our gusset panel. And we're going to set that to the side for now. All right, now we'll do work on our front panel. So you need your front exterior panel and the lining panel. Now you'll see that there's these little squares. This gives it that cool little 3D effect on the Game Boy bag if you've seen it. So we're going to go ahead and put those together. We'll start with the lining. So we're going to fold them like this so that the edges meet, and we're going to sew these at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can clip it if you need to. I'm just going to hold it. We're going to do that on all the edges. Sounds like my bobbin's running out. All right. And I don't need to trim these because they're only a 1/4 inch, but I am going to snip them right this. Just right there. That way, when we attach the front exterior and this lining piece, the corners will go together a little better. One more. All right, we're going to do the same for the front panel. So you're going to push the sides together and sew together at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Make sure you back stitch or else these will come undone later. You don't want that. One more. All right. That won't cut that. Let's try these ones. Sorry, didn't mean to jiggle the camera. Okay, and I like to burn all my edges all the time, so we're just gonna hit these real quick. You just never know. Okay, so what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna take my front panel and we're gonna flip it like this. So the little corners are poking out and that looks so good already. We're gonna take the lining, right? Don't be like me. Okay, let's do it this way. There we go. Let's try that again. Okay, corner. Corner. Another corner. And then just like that. And we're going to make sure all the pieces sit together well. I'm going to grab some more clips from my clip bowl. And then we're going to baste these two pieces together flat. Or not flat, but all the way around, so that when we attach our binding, we don't have to worry about them being shifting at all. Right, so let's go ahead and start here. We'll baste it at a 5 stitch length. Go slower on the corners to make sure there's no shifting. Oops. All right. Trim your threads. And this is how your front panel should look. So front panel lining looks a little soggy, but we'll straighten that out with the binding. All right, and that's our front panel. Let's put that to the side and start working on our back panel. So for your back panel, it's just a square. We're gonna baste these two together now. Also, you'll see that I already have my interfacing on here. I used Profuse Stiff in place of Decaville Light on this. I want it to have structure. I don't want it to be floppy because sometimes it can be. I want it to be like a backpack and I want it to stand up on its own. I love this Profuse Stiff. I get it from Wawak, Wawak. I don't know. One of those. Sponsor me. Just kidding. But for real. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pin these together real quick. Remember, you used your exterior to trim your lining, so there should be no extra. They should be the same size. All right, let's go. All right, and we're almost done. Always make sure your needle is down before you pivot. Trim your threads. All right, and there you go. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark my centers now on this piece, because then we need to attach our crossbody strap and then our 2 D-ring connectors at the bottom, so you can wear it like a crossbody or like a backpack. I'll clip this. If you're worried about all these flyaways that you can get on your waterproof canvas, I just touch them with the lighter and they're gone. There you go, just like that. All right, so for our back panel, we need our 2 D-ring connectors, and we need our strap connector. So on our D-ring connectors, we are going to draw a line down the middle. Ruler by Mormino, pen by Mormino. And then we're going to put tape down the middle. Or you could clip it, your choice. I prefer tape. And we're going to top stitch these at a 5. All right, so now we have our 2 D-ring connectors. And we're going to take our 2 D-rings. We're going to sew them like this. I like to sew them at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I like to make sure that they're sewn together at the same seam allowance, because then it's easier to make sure that they're even on your bag. So 1/2 inch. All right. And then you're going to need a 3-inch piece of 1-inch webbing. Now for this step, you have a couple different options. You can sew your strap into the top, your webbing, and sew them together, and then your body or your bag can only be a crossbody used on either side of the backpack. Or you can put a D-ring here, which I'm going to do. I'm going to take this 3 inches of 1-inch webbing, and I'm going to take a 1-inch D-ring. We're going to sew this together real quick. And then I'm going to mark my center on one of these. We're going to line it up right at the 1/2 inch that we sewed. Let's baste this on. And then we're going to sew these together like so. And then we're going to sew this together at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, leaving this bottom gap open to turn. Make sure you have it on 4.5 inch stitch length. And when you get to the corner, you're going to want to make sure the needle is down, and then pivot. And then when I go over my webbing, I'm going to back stitch a little bit just to make sure it's secure. All right, look at that. I told you I was going to run a bobbin. Hold, please. Good thing I wasn't on the big part. All right. All right, let's try that again. All right. So I'm just going to trim these little corners here, like this, so that when I turn it, these aren't bulky and in the way. And I'm going to burn all these because I can't help it. I can't help it. I have to do it. All right. If you have trouble turning these, you could heat them up with your iron a little bit on the outside, even on the vinyl, just to make them more pliable. I think we'll be okay today. That wasn't on, by the way. That was just for showsies. All right, so let's go ahead and bring this through. We're going to grab our pokey tool. We're going to poke that corner out without poking through the stitching, because I've done that. Please don't do that. And you can either top stitch all the way around here, or you could just stitch it close at the bottom. I'm not going to top stitch because I don't like the way it looks, because my machine doesn't like it either. So we're going to top stitch here. All right, there we go. Now we have our strap connector. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the middle of my strap connector because I like everything to be as even as possible. And I'm going to get my back panel piece. And we're going to baste this right here at the top. And then for our two D-ring pieces, we're going to baste these at the bottom. Should we have it say D? Oh no! Hold on, let me get that. Okay. Like this, D-ring. Yeah, we'll do it like that. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to take, I'm going to use my silver marking pen because it wipes off the vinyl real nicely. And I'm going to take my little baby ruler. We're going to put this right at the middle. And we're going to mark 1.5 inches from the middle. And then we're going to mark 1.5 inches on this side from the middle. And then that's where your connector is going to start. So on my little markings that you can see here, I'm going to put it next to the marking. Just like that. That way it's not in the way. So we're going to baste these on right here next to the marking. 1.5 inches from the middle. All right, so let's go ahead and baste this on. And then this one, D-ring. Well, I should clip it because I don't want to hold it because I'm going to mess it up. Let's not be lazy. Let's use that clip. Okay. All right. Now, if you wanted to, you could rivet this into place. I'm not going to because it might get stuck in my seam allowance. But if you needed it to be extra sturdy, you could do that. We're not going to. Let's attach our gusset. So we have our back panel, we have our front panel, and we have our gusset. Let's go ahead and attach them. So let's start with the front panel. I always start with the front panel. I don't know why. It's just, that's how my brain says you need to do it. I'm going to mark the middles on all 4 sides. I probably should have done this before I sewed the corners, but that's okay. I'm doing it now. Now's what's important. Go ahead and mark my middle here. We're gonna, there. All right. And we'll sew these two together. And then we're gonna, here. All right, so we have all 4 centers marked on that piece. So we're gonna flip this out so that the corners are pointing the wrong way out. And we're gonna take our zipper panel. So you could pick which way you want it to go forward, depending on the art that's on your panel, depending on your zipper pulls. If you only put 1 zipper pull, what side you want it to start from. I put 2, so it doesn't matter. So we're gonna go ahead and align these. Let me put my other marking on this one. So we'll mark this in 4 spots too. And we'll do this one. All right, so now we have 4 total points to align our panel. You're gonna flip this wrong side out, zipper up on your front panel, and we're gonna match up all of our triangles. So there's the top, here's the bottom, here's the side, here's the other side. And then we're going to ease in all of the other curves, just like that. I put this in. Just want to try to work it together as easy as possible. You shouldn't have to stretch. You shouldn't have, oops, clip down. You shouldn't have to pull. You shouldn't have to snip. It should fit just right. If you are having fit issues, you can definitely try any of those things to get it to work. But it should be spot on. Last corner. Fit it in there. And then we'll have a little spot check when we're done. Uh-oh, I'm out of clips. We need more clips. There's 100 on the floor. All right. See how this one is off a little bit? So we'll have to check that one. See what happened there. Just that side, huh? Oh wait, this one off a little bit. Sometimes you got to pull out the big gun clips. That's right, you're not going anywhere. So we might have to just clip it just a little bit. We'll see in just a second. Let's check this one. These ones are still aligned right. Let's check this one, that this one is still aligned right. There you go. All right. So this one is fine. And this one is fine. Here, we'll give it a little snippy snip. Little 1/8 inch cuts, nothing more. There you go. Now you have a couple options when you're sewing this together. You could sew in the round, sew like this, or you can flatten it and sew. I think I'm going to try sewing it in the round and see how that goes. Let's give a couple of snips here. here. Sometimes the answer is more clips. All right, so let's give this a go. So I'm going to try and sew it in the round. We're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance at 4.5 inch stitch length, back stitch. All right, let's go. Now you don't have to worry too much about this being pretty because we're going to cover it with binding. So if your stitches are a little wonky or if your edges don't quite line up exactly, that's okay because we're going to cover it. Oop, that wasn't right. Let's try that again. All right, and we're going to flip this to see how it looks on the outside. See, I probably need to re-sew this side. Let's look. Yeah, see, I totally missed a spot. So let's go back and redo that. Where did I miss? Right here. So I'm going to go ahead and snip a couple of these stitches. And we will re-clip it. Now when you're seam ripping and restitching, be careful on your vinyl. Sometimes vinyls can be soft, and you want to make sure that you're hitting the same spot, or else you're going to perforate the vinyl. Okay, let's try it like this. Now let's try it the other way. All right. All right, so this looks pretty good to me. I don't have any wrinkles. I don't have any threads showing. My gusset is even across the zipper, so it's not going to be uneven. So I'm going to call this a win, and we're going to bind this. There's lots of different things that you can use for binding. I think right now all the craze is the 1/2 inch. What's that stuff? the elastic, the 1/2 inch fold over elastic. I personally like to use 1/2 inch double folded bias tape. I get this in bulk on Amazon. This whole roll is less than $15 and it lasts me a while. So I think that's why I like it. So we'll go ahead and poke those corners back in like this. And then you can trim anywhere that's uneven. So let's go ahead, and I always start my my bias tape on the bottom. I don't know why. That makes sense to me. So we're gonna go all the way around. Just gonna clip this on slowly, making sure that there's no wrinkles or bubbles, or making sure none of the panels are flipped under or weird. And then we're going to sew this on at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And then we'll measure the binding to see how much you need. Keep hitting that. Sorry. There you go. And then start where you started and stopped. Let's measure that for you. We'll measure that another time. All right. So let's go ahead and where we started right here, 3/8 inch seam allowance. We're going to back stitch over where we added it, or where the two pieces combine. You could do this at a 4.5 inch, 6 inch, or a 5, depending if you have contrasting thread and you want it to look pretty. That's up to you. You want to make sure that you catch both sides of the bias tape. Let's give this a trim. Now, I've used black thread on black bias tape, so you're not going to be able to tell if my stitches are wonky. Maybe I did that on purpose. Maybe I didn't. There you go. This is how it should look, the first half binded. Now we're going to attach the back panel. So same as the front panel, we have all 4 sides marked. We're going to go ahead and attach those 4 sides. If we need to trim the corners, we will. But you definitely will, because these are square corners and you have a round gusset. So we will fit them together the best we can. And then we will trim them when we're done. All right, so what I like to do is I like to match up all 4 corners. And I've used my big old clips for those. And then I'm going to work from these big ones out to the corner. All right. And then we're going to do this side. If you wanted to staple this, you could. I'm not a fan of using staples. It's not my favorite. I'd rather just struggle and cry about it. But that's me. Sometimes you want to make sure that you open the zipper all the way if you need to. These zipper pulls I have are difficult and they don't want to open, so I need to make sure I open it now. Okay. Let's redo that one real quick. All right. Let's reattach this one real quick. Oh no. All right. All right. And then your corners are kind of just gonna sit like this. gone forever. It's just gonna sit like this. You want to make sure that these are about the same on both sides so that both corners look the same. If you wanted to pre-round these corners, you could. I don't like to, just in case it ends up weird. And I want to have that extra playroom to have. There's another clip. Oh, they're just running away from me today. All right, so these ones look about the same too. So I'm going to sew this one back panel on the table. Hold your threads or else they'll disappear. I hate that. 4.5 inch stitch length, 1/4 inch seam allowance. Don't forget to back stitch. Okay, and if you wanted to snip your corner, you could. I'm gonna, just so it lays flatter. All right, just like that. Yep. If you wanted to use a stiletto, you could. I rather almost sew my fingers instead. Don't be like me. I have sewn through my finger before. It was not fun. It didn't hurt as bad as I thought it was. There's a little snippy snip. All right, there we go. I'm going to snip this real quick. There we go. I'm going to snip this one. All right. Here we go. Uh-oh. It didn't like that stitch. And all the way back down. All right. Sweet. Okay. Clips on this side. Out of the way. Okay, so it looks like we have about the same amount on each side. Before I trim them, I'm gonna just take a look, see how it glows. Make sure that I got all my sides. You can see that I have here, I got all of the lining pieces. And it looks like we're good to trim. Sorry about that. So let's go ahead and trim off these corners. I'll trim this one. I'm also going to trim off this extra bit of D-ring now that it's in there all the way. There you go. All right. Put all this in the garbage. And then we have our binding. We're going to put that on again too. Let me measure this real quick. All right. Let's see how long that is. So you'll need approximately 35 inches per side of binding. So it's 70 inches total for the whole bag. So we will clip this on, starting at the bottom. You know how I feel about that. And then we'll attach this at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Do you guys want to make bets that someone will want to buy this bag, even though it says back lining and front lining and back panel? I mean, they buy the Marc Jacobs tote that says this is a tote. Why wouldn't someone want to buy this one, right? Yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be funny. All right, we're almost done. This last side here. And look, this binding covers up all those little uneven edges and stitches. All the little flyaways from the waterproof canvas. All right, there you go. That's all she wrote. All right, let's get this together, and then we'll flip this bad boy and see how she looks. I don't like the way that that one looked. All right. You could also sew the binding on at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. It's up to you. Since we did the bag at a 1/4 inch, I like to attach the binding at 3/8 inch. That way, if there was anything that was missed while you're putting the bag together, you can make it up right now. Sewing can be forgiving. You just got to know where it gives. All right. Let's see. So I will still singe my threads. And it looks like we have a finished bag. All right, let me change the camera angle and then we'll turn this bad boy. Okay, so now the fun part, we're gonna turn it. So this is what it looks like. Your bottom gusset, front lining, back lining, and your zipper gusset lining. So there's a couple ways you could turn it since this is vinyl and it might be a little thicker. You could put your hairdryer in here and heat it up to turn it. Or what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my mini iron. And after I've turned it, I'm going to use it to iron the inside of the bag because the waterproof canvas is ironable. And it'll help me with the wrinkles in the deck of the light or the Profuse stiff that I used. So you're going to put one corner, push it out. Like this. Gotta make sure that your little 3D corners come out all the way. Because what was the point of doing that if they don't? There you go. And then your top one. All right. And you have your little D-rings here. Make sure you push out all the seams. And there you have it. You have the AC Mini Convertible Crossbody / Backpack. So imagine this with your favorite cute art. Here, let's move back a little bit so you can see. All right, so you have your front panel, your back panel, your 2 D-rings, your bottom gusset, your zipper panel, and your strap connector. So you could wear this as a crossbody from this to one side or the other, or you could run your webbing strap from here. It'll go through the D-ring and then connect the other hook down here, and you can wear it like a backpack. I know a lot of other bags that use that as an option. I feel like that's a cute one. And there you go. That's the whole thing. Pretty neat, right? Thank you guys for watching this whole video. If you're still here, you're the best. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.